Hi everyone, welcome to Herzography. Today I'd like to go through how I do a panorama, how I use a nodal rail or not using a nodal rail, and the different steps that I go through. Here we go. So when doing a panorama, of course, probably the most important step to start with is to make sure that your tripod is secure in a secure location without any sand or gravel that it might move around on, because you're wanting to have every image stitched together without any kind of issue. So stable tripod number one. Now both of the tripods that I'm using here, you can see, have a leveling base. I feel that a leveling base is a must when doing a panorama. If you don't have a leveling base, you can get them separately for the tripod you have right now, or to purchase perhaps a tripod with a leveling base built in like I have here. So the next step that we're going to look at is, here I've got two heads. I've got a ball head and I'm showing the Acratech panorama head. And the Really Right Stuff ball head, this is the BH55. I use this for many, many years for doing my panoramas and all of my landscape photography. It is a wonderful head. I've enjoyed it very much. Weighs a little over 2 pounds, whereas the Acratech head that I'm showing here just weighs just under 1 pound. So if weight becomes something that you're concerned about, I'd take a look at that. The next thing that I want to explore is that when you're using a ball head, the ball head itself, when you're doing a panorama, you really need to be doing the panorama from the top part of the head. Even though most ball heads can rotate on the bottom, the ring that rotates on the bottom is technically not for panoramas. It's more for repositioning your composition, if you will. So the reason for that is that if you don't have your head 100% level, then as you're rotating your whole head, you're going to wind up with a roller coaster when you go into whatever editing program you're using to stitch your images together. Now, could you stitch it together like that? Yes, but you're going to lose image on the bottom and on the top, and you could also wind up having some images that don't stitch together properly. So I do not recommend rotating your camera around on the repositioning rotation here on the bottom of the head. The better way to go for more reliable panorama, where your images are going to stitch together easier, is to be rotating on top of the head. Because once the head is level on the very top, then the panning that you do on the top of the head is going to be 100% level, all the way around 360 degrees. Now that works out absolutely perfect. Of course, this would only be for doing a single row panorama. If you want to do a multi-row panorama, that's for another discussion, and we'll look at that at another time, because there is a special piece of equipment that you need to use when using a ball head to do a multi-row panorama. So what I have found to be a much easier way of shooting panoramas is with a head like this. This head is by Acratech, and as I said, it weighs just under 1 pound. And as you can see, it only has movements that go front and back. It doesn't go side to side. And the reason why I purchased a head like this is because when you're doing panoramas, you don't need to be shifting your camera like this okay, your panoramas are always going to be level and you're doing this, or you're in portrait mode and you're doing this. Okay, you don't need to have the other access that you would get on a ball head. So having that in mind, as you can see, I have the rotation that I need for first getting it perfectly level after leveling the base. And once that is level and my camera is level, now I can do a perfect panorama 360 degrees. Now that being said, I do have another option with a head like this, is that most of my panoramas are done in portrait mode, so that way I get plenty of sky and plenty underneath for either cropping or stitching together. So the way I have my camera set up like this is going to be very useful for just doing a single row pano with a very, very short lens. Now let me explain why. Normally when you're shooting a pano, the center of the tripod should line up with the center of your equipment, meaning right from the lens sensor plane to the end of the element in the middle. And you can either eyeball it, or there are special techniques that you can use to find out that point. Now that point many people call the nodal center. And that nodal center is that midpoint between your sensor plane or film plane that we used to have as to the element on the end. And of course, when you put your camera on like this, you can't move the camera back and forth, which is why we need to use a nodal rail. Nodal rail is a very important piece of equipment in a landscape photographer's arsenal, and I'll show you how this works. So I'm going to level the nodal rail. Now I'm going to put my camera back on the nodal rail, just like I did before on the head, but now it's on this rail. And what happens is that once it's on this rail, I am able to now move the camera back and forth. If I loosen the right knob, which I wasn't, here we go. And so now I can move the camera back and forth to get the nodal center over the center of the tripod. Now I'm not getting that nodal center right now, so what I need to do is move the whole rail back a bit. So I'm going to do that. And now I can move the camera to get that center that I would have marked right over the center axis. So what you can see here is that there are markings, laser markings on the edge. And what I would normally do is find where that nodal center is. Let's say if I'm shooting at 50 millimeter, and I would find where that nodal center is and mark all my markings down. So I would know that I would need to put in my nodal rail, let's say right at 13. And I would know that this part of the camera holder on the nodal rail would need to set, like right now it's at 5, because I would say after I did my calculations, which we'll do at another time, that's how I would know where to set up the camera at a 50 millimeter focal length. Each time you change the focal length or put on a different lens of a different focal length, you will need to find that nodal center. But once you find it, it never changes. So you just write down your settings, keep your little book with you, and now we have the nodal center for this focal length. So what happens is that as we turn, that center, that nodal center of this setup with this focal length stays 100% over the center axis of the tripod. And that is going to make sure that you will be able to line up your images in Photoshop or whatever application you're using, and they will line up perfectly, and you'll have no problem stitching them together. All right, so let me do a quick recap of what we just went over here. Regardless of what type of head you're using, whether it's a ball head or whether it's a panorama head, you want to use a nodal rail because you want the center between the sensor plane and the end element, the center of the head, to be directly over the center of your tripod axis. That way, all of your images, as you stitch them all together, will be exactly lined up. You won't have, any kind of roller coaster, and you'll be able to stitch them together very easily. Now, that being said, when you're using a setup like this with a tripod head like this, now I do have the option of, after I do my level row of images, just like I started out with the ball head, but because with this head only has one axis, not 360-degree axis, because there's only one access point on here, I can loosen this and I can tilt down and now do a lower row of images. And then I can stop and I can tilt up a bit and do an upper row of images, giving me the flexibility with a head like this to do a multi-row panorama without a special piece of equipment that I would need on a ball head that I used to use. Now, either method is going to give you beautiful panoramas. There's one on my website that I did with over 50 images with 3 rows, and they stitched together just perfectly, and it was done with a ball head. And so it is possible, but this method is less equipment, less setup, and much simpler to use. So that's why I've moved more towards using a system like this for shooting my panos and multi-row panos and all of my landscape images. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief tutorial on shooting panoramas. Once again, if you enjoyed it, please give me a like, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.